Welcome to today's video. Today I want to show you how to create an easy and simple quick winter landscape using these Neocolor II crayons. If you see my previous video, you know that this is the winter palette that I put together for the upcoming winter seasons, and it has these 10 basic Neocolor colors, and then we also tested some really cool color mixes in the previous video. So that's what we're working with today. And I had a reference photo, one that I took close to my home some years back. I think it was already like 5 years ago. It's a very beautiful kind of winter scenery when the sun is setting, and it was only, I think, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but where I live at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's already time for sunset in the winter time. So that's what we are working on today. And the kind of purpose of today's video is to show you how you can very quickly make quite impactful winter landscapes with this kind of very limited palette. We will be working on this harmonious sketchbook. This is harmonious watercolor sketchbook, really good for this type of medium. Not the best one, I'd say, maybe for this type of work where I'm adding lots of water on the paper and lots of pigment, but this works really well. One of my favorite sketchbooks for water-soluble mediums like crayons and pencils. So that's what we're working on today, and you will see me doing lots of color mixing on the paper, and also, as said, working on with this very limited palette today. I'll start by adding just random colors, but it's not really that random anyway. But adding the different colors, kind of color blocking the paper, and at this point it looks quite messy and something like it's been drawn by 2-year-old having just some fun with the crayons. But trust me, trust the process. You will soon see what kind of magic we can create with this kind of first layer, once we start adding then more details later on. This was my first time then testing this limited palette in practice, and I have to say that I really enjoyed it. I think it covered pretty much all the needs I had for this kind of scene, and this is precisely the kind of scenery I had in mind when I put this palette together. So I wanted to test it for this certain purpose. So it's kind of a good palette for these a bit darker winter sceneries. As discussed with one of you in the kind of comments, white Neocolor II crayon would be an absolutely fantastic addition to this limited palette. Of course, if you want to kind of have very bright snow areas or bright snowflakes, white would be a perfect addition here. But since we had to limit the crayons to just 10, white was left out this time, but absolutely that would be really good and useful. And even when working on this scenery, I could see some use cases for the white crayon, but as it is, we are today working with this limited palette and no white crayon available for us today, so let's see what we can create. In the photo, there was such beautiful sky, and I sometimes wonder if it's just me or if this is kind of a common issue that I think that oftentimes when you have a photo where the sky is really powerful and very beautiful, it's very difficult to transfer that same feeling and the same kind of bright and vibrant colors on a paper. Very often it might look very artificial on the paper. It might look like it can't be real. And that's basically because I feel personally that sunsets and the kind of light that we have in a kind of late afternoon or winter time, it's very unique. It kind of brightens everything in a very magical way, especially if there is snow. And that is something it's a challenging topic to transfer to your art. So that's definitely something I want to explore a bit further this coming winter. One challenge that you see me struggling with, or not struggling, but having to deal with on this specific sketch is that when we add a lot of these different colors on the sky, it's easy that they get easily very muddy. And to prevent that, it's very important to, first of all, clean the brush all the time, and also to build different layers and let other layers dry in between. And that's kind of one very good solution or practical solution for this issue. I wanted to create some, I'd say, a bit like a darker shadows and stronger shadows on the snow. Very often we think that snow is white all the time. Well, obviously it's white on its own, but in the nighttime it's actually dark blue with some wonderful dark blue and purple shadows. So that's what we are working with today. And this light cobalt blue hue was a wonderful color, kind of base color to mix with many others throughout this little sketch. You can also see me building lots of layers throughout this video, and that's something I love to do with Neocolor IIs. I think, as said many times before on my channel, this is a wonderful medium for layering and building those intense layers, and that way we can bring different depth and contrast to the page. So that's also what I also always tell myself, and also want to tell others, that if you feel that you're not happy with your artwork, it probably isn't done yet. So keep building the layers, keep working on it, and little by little it will improve and be closer to kind of what you were originally maybe thinking it would look like. Also, always remember that your art is just your way of looking at the world. You are not trying to, very often, I mean, unless you are a very photorealistic artist, but that's a whole different story then. But very often I think the best art is the kind which shows how you see the world, what elements are the ones that kind of catch your attention and what you are most interested in, and that shows in the art. For example, for me, when I look at this sketch that I made, it's very clear that I was very interested about the snow and the different shadows we can see in snow. Similarly, I was very intrigued by how this kind of distant forest was visible only as a dark silhouette against the bright colored sky. So there were lots of these kind of small elements that I wanted to explore and look, and by no means is this like a photorealistic kind of expression or picture of what the photo was showing. But that's totally fine, because the photo is a medium of its own, and art is then of my sharing my impressions of the scenery. By the way, I absolutely loved making these different color mixes on a palette and trying to find kind of new mixes, and that's why I love to work on palette as well as kind of mixing the crayons straight on the paper. I think it's very magical when you just add new colors to the mix, and all of a sudden you might have something very surprising on your palette. So definitely recommend you to try that out. But you can also see here one of my favorite reasons, or one of the reasons why I love Neocolor IIs so much, that you can use them in so many different ways. As said, I'm adding the pigment straight on paper, I'm drawing with the crayons, I'm also using this watercolor brush and the pigment that I add on the palette and activate there, so I'm kind of using it more like a paint, and that way I can also get beautiful opaque, very gouache-like paint. But then when I want to add details, for example the branches, the tree, that's when I also love to just use the crayon on their own. So it's very versatile and a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments below what your kind of typical winter looks like, if you have any kind of specific winter topics that you enjoy to paint or draw, and also if you love to paint snow, or if it's something that you find a bit intimidating. Be very happy to hear your experience. Personally, I feel that there were times when I absolutely hated to draw or paint snow. I found it so difficult. But then once I kind of changed my approach to it a bit, it became a lot more enjoyable and easier. So if that's something that you would be interested in discussing more and hearing more about, then let me know, and I'd be very happy, of course, to make a kind of winter video dedicated for painting and drawing snow. Because where I live, well, we are hoping again to have a white Christmas. Doesn't happen every year, but usually we get a lot of snow at some point of the winter anyway. So I'm really looking forward to that season. At the moment it's only mild -degrees, not too much snow, but really keeping fingers crossed that we'll get lots of snow in December. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope that it inspires you to create some beautiful winter landscapes with your Neocolor II crayons. I can't believe that we are already approaching soon the last couple of weeks, or actually the last week of November will be next week. So I can't believe that we are so close to end of our Neocolor November. It has been so much fun so far to focus solely on this one medium throughout November and kind of explore and share my love for Neocolor II crayons. But don't worry, there are still some really nice and fun videos coming your way. And of course, we don't abandon our Neocolor IIs after this month either. By the way, as you've seen, I've used pretty much all crayons I had chosen for this limited palette. I think it's only the red one which didn't get to be used in this little sketch, but otherwise this kind of proved that the palette is very versatile. It works wonders, and I really enjoyed it. So definitely good choice of 10 crayons in this one. As said, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. It was a very quick sketch, but I wanted to share with you in practice how I love to use this limited palette. And I hope to see you very soon in my next video, new video coming again next week. And until then, I hope that you will enjoy your own art journey. I will see you very soon. Bye for now.